Ahoy, crypto pirates. Welcome to your Discourse Syndicate, the Captain RG3, coming to you on a Wednesday night. Got a really, really cool guest. Thank you, Crypto King, for all your hard work once again. Out there scouring the YouTubes, looking for people who will talk to us. And we got a good one tonight. So wanted to just say hey to all the Hexicans out in the chat room. Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks to everybody in the YouTubes there. David Feeder, see you there, buddy. Pawbar, okay, Pawbar. I haven't seen you in the room that much lately. Hex Mac, and of course Crypto King's in there. Matty Allen, real talk. Yes. Matty Allen's hanging out with us tonight, guys. Go check out Matty Allen's show too on the YouTubes. Another Hexican streamer. Let's see who else we got in here. David Morales. Hey, how's everything going out there in Florida, guys? If any of you guys want to jump on later or something, I know that they're having a big meetup with the Hexologist, Crypto Coffee, David Morales, and a few other guys are out there in Disneyland. Hex Mac, what's up, dude? And Bran, first one in the chat tonight. Bran, let's see how we're doing over at the Theta stream there. How's everybody doing over there in Theta? Joey Green. Oh, a lot of new names over there. Elevator 1212. Alamute. Joey Green. Lumber. Right on. Oh, you guys, some of your names, man. These names just freaking hard to roll off the tongue. Anyway, well, without any more, I got a guest sitting here waiting in the green room. So we've been getting a lot of people from the financial world coming in and talk to us. And this guy's got a stream. I saw Crypto Bloods on his stream too. So, we've all had Crypto Bloods. We've had Crypto Bloods on the stream with us. So I know that they've had conversations together. And I really like, this guy's name is Mike, and he's from a stream called Rethink the Dollar. So if you want to go check that out, Rethink the Dollar, go over there and subscribe and follow him. He's got a really good approach to finance, a lot like mine. He's got a lot of, he works in the gray areas versus the white or black, or it's this side or that side, or he's questioning things, and he likes to bring people in that are questioning stuff. And that's what we all should be doing right now, because even though I always talk about cycles and we're going through cycles, the cycles have nuances and there are differences. And there's a lot of differences with this cycle, especially this cycle. It's kind of a culmination of a lot of different cycles all hitting at once. And, he's helping people navigate that. So without any more wasting time here, swabbing the deck, I'm going to bring up our buddy Mike from, Rethinking the Dollar. Hey, Mike, how you doing, bud?
Captain, I'm doing good, my man. Thank you for the introduction, as well as having me on the show, man. Looking forward to hanging out with you, having some real talk.
Yeah, some real talk. Yeah, it's good to have you on. Thanks for coming. We're not a big YouTube stream. We're kind of small community, just getting started over the last year or so on our little crypto journey here.
Yeah.
But we've got a lot of good things to say, and we've had what's called an echo chamber. I mean, you've once you've got a community, and we're all been talking to each other for a long time. Yeah. It's good to get out and talk to other people who aren't really like in our circle. So that's why we've been having people like yourself on.
I appreciate it. And also, if you're a truth seeker and also an alternative voice, your family. So I'm more than happy to help and helping and willing to connect and hang out and just, be amongst my own kind, man. So happy to be here.
We're definitely an alternative voice over here.
That's good, man. Let's have some
That's
fun,
the nicest thing anybody said about us, to be honest. So
no. So Crypto King has done a good job of really, Mike, you got to get over. You got to join. I'm like, okay, I will. I'm like, the only problem is, I'm not much of a Hex guy. I don't really know much about Hex, so I don't want to go over there and embarrass myself because I'm not a part of that community directly. So you got to educate me some. So he sent me a couple of links and whatnot. I glanced at them, but it's like, man. Yeah, so I'm here to learn too. So
yeah, and that's always the scary part. People are always trying to get people to come talk to us, and it's like, crypto is complicated, as it is, and then Hex is a whole nother animal because it's new in the crypto space too. It's something that nobody's ever seen. And I hope that, as we talk, I'll be able to kind of blow your mind a little bit about what Hex is doing and the differences between Hex and what's out there currently and what's going on in the DeFi space, because that's the new buzzword, Well, we know as Hexicans that the DeFi space was really fired off by Hex and what Hex has brought. And, you'll be interested to find out a little more about it. But first, before we get into any of that stuff, where if you don't mind, where are you coming from?
I'm from Metro Detroit, Michigan. So just nice cold Michigan right now. We just got hit with a snowstorm literally like a day ago, and it's still here. So good old Detroit, man. That's home for me.
Born and raised out there?
Born and raised in Detroit, man. Yeah, I had a chance, in my former life to have gotten out of the city, the inner city, and how I got into Rethinking the Dollar was from just having a chance to experience the world a little bit, doing traveling and whatnot. So, but I ultimately landed back here in Detroit.
Nice. So, you for work, you travel for work, or?
Yeah. So when I was younger, a little bit of my background is, how I even got into all of this was simply in my former life. I was a professional basketball player, so I played professionally, overseas for about 7 or 8 years, and having a chance to have played, I traveled, up and down all around for the most part, and lived in a variety of countries. And then, of course, being compensated in different currencies, you start wondering why it's more expensive here, why is it cheaper here? And you start asking these serious questions, and you realize that the monetary system and just how the financial matters in certain areas are different than everywhere else, it pretty much leads to the imbalances in the world. And then once I stopped playing, came home and realized that we're under the same system that I was in Argentina, and same one in Iceland, same one in Switzerland. Like something's not right here. And so I began my rethinking process from that. So,
nice.
Yeah, but that's kind of how I got into this, man.
Yeah, my nephew plays for Oregon State for the Beavers.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a kind of a big basketball. The other one of the two nephews, one of them played for Boston, and went north. Is it Northeastern? Is that what they call it? Boston? Is it north?
I think I heard Northeastern. I think I heard that. There's so many colleges out here, man.
I know.
He's a hooper. He's a hooper.
Yeah, he just had his final year. It was messed up, man, because they made the playoffs and everything, and then the COVID thing hit, and it was his senior year, and it was it was kind of a culmination of his career. Just kind of really sucked, man. But we're all dealing with it. Yeah,
we all got to make adjustments on one way or the other, man. So it's unfortunate, but this is where we're at, man.
So you're an educated man. You've been to college and all that kind of stuff?
So I managed to graduate from college. So I was very fortunate to be the first one in my family to graduate from college. I went to school for business management and entrepreneurship, and then from that, did some basketball playing and whatnot. And then, of course, I love the game still. And so I got into basketball training and coaching and stuff like that. So started out some stuff here in Metro Detroit when I got back, and, still doing it up until relatively recently as well. So, but other than that, small business ownership has been my pathway.
So in the world of finance, right?
Yeah. But see, the biggest thing is when it comes to just macroeconomics in particular, that's all something I taught myself. And as I mentioned off air, is that, other than going to school and getting a degree, I took some simple classes in, Econ 101 and Econ 202 and all the accounting, all the basic stuff. But, I basically in 19,000 hours, I think I calculated from the time of preschool, kindergarten up until my degree, I didn't learn nothing about the macroeconomy. So I mean, literally, that's why I don't consider myself qualified, other than just have spoken to a lot of smart people, man. Yeah. And then, of course, having some traveling in my background, and still do traveling, or apart from now, to those same countries to do some investigative work now in particular. But other than just, taught myself, man, read a lot of books and interviewed a lot of people. And so, that's kind of how I got my current knowledge base that I'm still trying to expand upon. So, yeah, you don't learn this stuff in school, man. You don't learn in
school. So you say we say macroeconomics a lot around here, because that's I'm not a chart reader when it comes to crypto. A lot of people are speculators and chart readers and day traders, and Hex is far from that. So my whole approach to finance has always been a macroeconomic look, and of course, because I'm an old bastard.
Yeah.
I'm looking at things from a different lens than a lot of the young people are. Young people, hey, you can go to Vegas and throw all your shit on red or black, and hey, you'll live to fight another day.
Yeah.
Me, I can't even think about going to that town versus putting something on red or black. So
Right.
that's where my financial life is. So I'm always looking at macroeconomics.
Yeah.
And I got a question for you. Do you
Okay.
think macroeconomics is more of a science or an art?
Whew. Well, I would say it would depend on who you're asking that to. But so for me personally, it's more of I would say a field of study. And so literally, like, it's something that is no way of actually being able to fully understand and comprehend it all together. You can get the book side of things, which is what they would teach in a school in a structured environment.
Yeah.
But then it's not until you become more of like the Rick Rules, the Casey's, those higher individuals that actually apply all that stuff.
Then you have the
financial
Austrian
realm.
view and the Keynesian view and all this
Exactly.
other stuff. So there's all these macro on top of macroeconomic views out there too.
Yeah. And I think the interworkings of all of that happens to be around this thing right here, the dollar. And so I look at the macroeconomy standpoint as just, how does a dollar control and operate in every single aspect of this global, monetary system ultimately. So I think it's the inner workings of the dollar, because right now we have the world reserve currency, but that's not always going to be the case. So, the macroeconomic landscape, if I can say it that way, is definitely, it has already changed significantly. So that's kind of where I would take it from there.
So I always say this though, Mike, and I feel you, man. I hear, the dollar, the print machine go burr, oh my gosh, the Fed, the this, the that. But you and I both said it, okay, here is the world's reserve currency, but it might not always be. But then I look at it and I go, wait a minute, what's going to take it over? Because even though the dollar's in trouble, everything else is in just as much trouble.
Right.
And then we look at something like, a lot of people in crypto think that Bitcoin is the savior. Well, I got news for people. Bitcoin is not the savior, and crypto is not the savior. It's got a long way to go. Now, it's a nice start. It's got something going for it. It's different, but it's not where trillions and trillions of the world's economic energy is going to flow to.
Right. I agree. So I would say, once again, the whole idea of rethinking the dollar was to get people to question and to learn what I call monetary literacy. So basically understanding, how we've grown throughout history to this current moment we're in now. If you just backtrack, you look at the place of gold and silver for the last, several thousand years as being the anchor of the monetary systems up until more so the computerized age, to where now so many things they're throwing at us now, but yet gold and silver still has the primary place, I believe, as what I would consider money. And so according to the Coinage Act of 1792, that the word dollar was actually a defined weight of silver. And so I feel very comfortable continuing to use that in my vocabulary, saying that there's a difference between sound money and fiat currency. Now, when I say the dollar is coming to an end, I'm referring to the Federal Reserve note.
Yes.
And so I think overall the dollar, according to the sound money coinage of 1792 definition, will do very good. And so, just as a little prop, I keep some coins here. So this, this silver here, this 1 ounce round, generic round, I think this is going to do very good 1 year, 5 year, 10 years. Whereas in, where does it go? I got some paper around here somewhere. Wherever that paper unit, where this paper unit here is the one I'm questioning. So that's what I mean by rethinking the dollar. So as far as where the world's going, I believe just follow the gold. And of course, Fort Knox, I would imagine you question if anything's in there. But China and Russia, I think pretty much since the .com bust cycle, they've been accumulating at a very fast pace. So they obviously have plans. And I think it's a cliche that whoever has the most gold make the decisions or something like that out there. Yeah. So I think gold, of course, will be the anchor that they'll try to restart or reboot the system, basically ushering the Federal Reserve note and all our liabilities. It no longer be storage of wealth, because this current president here, I got his head beneath the 0 point line, because he's going to take this thing sub-zero pretty soon if it's not already there.
Well, what you were saying was he who has the gold makes the rules, and that's the golden rule. And you're right, because and a lot of people say, the government this, the government that, and really it's not the government that is your problem. everybody. I want to tell this to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Marine. I'm a Native American, half-breed Native American, and an immigrant Polish. My mom was Polish and French from immigrants, and so I love this country and I love this government. I fought for it. I stood on the wall for everybody for it, and it's bad government, not government that is the problem.
Yeah.
Because you got to have government, because there's not going to, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit around with a bunch of anarchists running the place.
Right.
We need good government. And, but what you were saying about the Federal Reserve and the dollar and all that stuff and silver, you nailed it for me just now, because I always tell everybody, look, the dollar ain't going nowhere, but you're right. The way the dollar is pegged is what's going to change and what's going to flip, and where you're standing on, what side of the fence you're standing on when that happens is going to be your fate financially.
Right. I do agree. And then to piggyback on the concept of just governance in general, I think that, your point is completely right. But I think to take it even a little bit further, from what I would probably say is just leadership. Like, I think mankind is capable of governing them themselves. We need leadership to help oversee, not necessarily have to decree and put out all these edicts and ordinances and laws and mandates and all this other stuff. We need people to just lead. And by leadership itself, people will more than likely follow good leadership and do the right thing from that. So elected officials, these people are already bought and paid for, man. Like,
it's K Street. I tell everybody, you want to know where your government come from, at K Street. It has nothing to do with your elected officials making laws for you because you like them and they're cool dudes and dudettes. No, your laws are coming from K Street. K Street is a bunch of guys drinking and having lunch every day with each other and hand pieces of paper saying, this is what you're going to do, or else you ain't going to get elected next time, because I'll be sure to give my money to this guy instead of this guy.
Exactly.
Because we know 90% of all elections are won by the guy who has the most money, not by the person that's saying the right shit.
Correct.
That's just the way it is.
And then to take it to the top, where does the money come from the top? And that happens to be the families and the long generational currency that are the creators of this central banking model. So the too big to fail bank shareholder individuals. So those are the people who determine where countries go. And of course, they appear to be right on track as well with all this stuff we're dealing with now as well. So all this currency tied up into that stuff. So oh man.
I know it turns into a big, because I'm a simple guy. I've been a working guy my whole life. And as I start to unpeel that onion, man, it's just like it gets overwhelming, because it's like, okay, well, where do we start? How do we get money out of our politics so we can try to straighten this shit up a little bit and get some good leadership in there, like you said. And I agree with that. It's about leadership. It's not about, who's the best man for the job or woman for the job. It's about what kind of a leadership can we put in place to try and fix this stuff, and flip that currency over to where it's going to be valuable again versus where it's going.
So clearly our purchasing power is at stake with all this, because you can see, I just use this background as an example, but we've had, I think, I forgot the count from Woodrow Wilson over here up until this current one here, but it doesn't matter who's in office. They all got to do the same thing. They all follow the same policies that literally steal from the American people as well as the world with this creation of currency. So it doesn't matter who's in office, man. The policies have to change. Back to your point.
Because, like I said, I've been through many cycles, and I don't care who's in office, whether it's a red guy or a blue guy. My purchasing power has been going down, and my productivity has been going up. And I can see that in the statistics that the U.S. workers' productivity has gone through the roof over the last 25, 30 years.
The wages, I think it was definitely around the gold, the window closing. And actually, I saw some graphs that I wish I could pinpoint them, but yet it was even more so before the Great Society program from Lyndon B. Johnson in the late 60s is when the divergence started to happen, where corporations started to get more of a say in compensation for themselves, and then they basically kept the workers' income and wages stagnant to where, it's been getting a lot worse since then, to where now it's through the roof. I don't know what the percentages are now, but it's extremely crazy.
It is, and it's skewed. And what I've always told everybody is that look, money doesn't disappear. It's been constantly being made. I mean, they've been printing lots of it. The problem is money's like a pump; it has to cycle.
Yeah.
And every dollar that goes out into the economy turns into about, I think it's like $3.64 of purchasing power. It ends up turning into that. But see, if that money doesn't go into the proper hands, which means the spenders, people that are buying tennis shoes and rims and going out to dinner and, doing stuff that's outside of their, eat, put food over a roof over your head and get back and forth to work. If they're, outside of that realm, if you're not having that in the general public, then you've got the pump stopping. And that's what is happening, is that the wealth has coagulated up at the top and the pump has stopped moving, and we don't know how to get it primed again. And now they're just kind of like flushing it with dollars. And I think it's kind of like you got a stuck pump, but you got water and shit gushing all over the place. It ain't going the right place, It's very misguided.
True. And also just the fact that just the concept is just the productivity model is broken. And so once the job base, the manufacturing hubs of what made this country great was basically booted out of this country here, we became a consumer nation, to where now anything that's created in a form of credit usually goes towards consumption rather than production. So we can't spend our way to growth and prosperity, because once again, as we're witnessing, a lot of people are tapped out. And so credit cards is maxed out, you name. And
see, back in when FDR had the New Deal, they pumped that money into projects. And
government
now
programs.
Now they don't have any more projects. They don't have anything for them to do. So now they're just going to start writing checks. And instead of getting, some productivity or something out of it, like they did in the New Deal, they actually got productivity out of it. But now they're just going to, maybe we should just write them checks and they'll spend money.
The ultimate welfare state. I mean, that's the inning of this game, because with the New Deal, that was the introduction of it, with all the insurance, Social Security, and all that other stuff that came from that. It was basically dumbing down the population, making the citizens dependent upon the government. And of course, now we're at that point where I talk about this all the time, how people are literally anticipating their next check. Like, they're grooming us to expect another check, whether it's 600, 14,000, 2,000.
Oh, yeah. I hear
people now get pissed. People get pissed that their check ain't here yet. Something like, damn.
What do you mean 600? Last one was 12.
So, creating that entitlement mentality of what can the government do for me? And, of course, it has to do with stimulus now, and it's going to transition to universal basic income, because they're already throwing those out there, monthly checks. So once again, like this current administration, I believe, is going to be our last one under this so-called democracy that we're under right now. But
as it looks now,
yeah, exactly.
I would like to see big change. I don't know if we're going to have big change, but I would like to see big change.
I would love it. Yeah, I would love it as well.
But getting congressional approval of things that we can amend the Constitution with is not an easy task at all. It is not.
But I mean, here's the thing. So and that's the thing. I'm not left, right, or Democrat, Republican. I like to just go straight at the middle, because I think they're all a part of the same boys club ultimately. So whether it was Trump or whether it was Biden, the whole stimulus quantitative easing process has to continue, because it's baked into the cake. So it's just going to be a matter, how can they get it out into who? And so monetary policy itself has kind of ran its course, because there's only so much more the Federal Reserve can do as far as just adding reserves into the system. But then you still need to have Uncle Sam creating all these programs and getting stuff out there. So no matter who's in office, they're going to have to inflate this thing away. But ultimately, with Biden, I think he's doing a very good job as to what he's supposed to do, and helping build back better, the world globalist agenda narrative. But
I love these names that we're getting.
attack gun rights, talking about setting up a special counsel to consider reforming the courts, and letting in, I think, 100 and something thousand immigrants from these distressed countries, which are going to bring a whole world of issues with them, trying to destabilize our country and our culture, you name it. So they're trying to tear it down so they can build it back and better towards what they want to do, which has nothing to do with, saving this country, unfortunately. So,
I know, man. Again, every time you're like, okay, we back off, and you start peeling the onion.
I always take that deep side, man. It's like I spew all that, what I consider to be truth, and just like, damn, dog.
I hear you, man. No, I try and keep, I did this for fun. I just did this for fun, and I didn't want. I try not to talk about politics, sports, or religion because it always ends up turning into a fight that nobody can win. So I always try and keep those three things out. But I mean, when you're talking about economics and finances and macroeconomics, all that stuff creeps in a little bit, you know, and I think that what is going to be is going to be. I do have. I do want to hear your take on the whole gold and silver thing, because here's my experience with gold and silver. Yeah. I've heard in the past, even, before the Great Depression, my grandfather talking about it. And here's the thing, I've got a safe, and in my safe, I've got my granddad's silver that he brought from the old country. Yeah. And from him saving and him hearing about this and needing to do that. And then sitting next to that in that safe is also my father's silver and gold. And then I look at it and I know that my dad got it from grandpa, and now here it is. I've got my stack. And my father just passed away this last year. So, thank you. And so okay, of course, everything came to me, and I stiff it in the box with my stuff, and I looked at it, and I was reflecting on that box with all of that silver and gold in it. Right. And I'm going, okay, what good did it do for either one of them? And what good is it going to end up doing for me? Because I know where mine's going, and granddad's and dad's is going to go, and it's going to go to my kid. Right. So my medal that you call gaining weight, or what do you call it?
Get your weight up. Get your
weight up. My weight up has become a stack of my father's, my grandfather's, and mine is gonna end up. We didn't use it. We didn't need it. But what is your take on that? Because I know that there's a lot of people out there with metal. Yeah. And what is it doing for them? What has it done?
A great question, man, and that's a phenomenal story, and congratulations, because you are one of probably very few that are literally living what I would consider a generational wealth transfer. The fact that your grandfather has some real weight from his time era given to your father to you, that is a generational wealth transfer, which I wish I was blessed and fortunate, because I'm a first generational weight stacker in a sense. But as far as what will the weight do for you, and so I think your testament there as to how it was transferred to you is a primary goal that every man, every household should have, and being able to leave something for their kids. And that's a biblical concept in and of itself. And the fact that your grandfather and your father didn't need it shows that, they did some things that was very different than the majority, that they were able to still maintain that amount of weight to give to you. So their mission was complete, man. And so I don't even know the gentleman, but the fact they were able to pass that on to you, hats off, because they did something that the Bible says is a man should be honored for doing that for his family. But then here we are now, where the past generations of your family in particular, the dollar was a world reserve currency, or becoming the world reserve currency. And of course, the central banks didn't hijack the entire monetary system the way they have now, to where I believe, my personal opinion is, this is this generation where all that hard work is going to come to be used for the transition into that next monetary system. And so however this system transferred over, it's going to be digital, of course. Metals will still carry extreme value on the other side of this. Now it's a matter, of course, being healthy enough to get through all the chaos or whatnot. But if we all do get through, the weight that we are able to take with us on that side, whether big or small, will have value to help you be able to do some things to carry on your legacy, to carry on your posterity itself. And so I think there will come a time to be able to put that back into circulation to benefit you. Good examples would be, like Weimar Republic, so that was an isolated event in Germany, but yet we heard about people who had 1 ounce of gold or this amount of silver were able to acquire true, real, tangible assets. Because ultimately, all this stuff here is just a resource. It's from the earth, given to us by God, I believe, to use. So we can't take it with us. So we're going to have to eventually put it back out there to work for us. And I think this next monetary shift or cycle will give us, our generation, a chance to actually put it to use, because I think we're going to need that, because we won't be able to trust our legal tender or our Federal Reserve notes or whatever else they're going to throw our way. So I've always been on the mindset that because things are so bad now, it's not just one single currency that's going to have a reset or restructure or reshift. It's going to be every fiat currency on this planet, because they're shifting us intentionally. And so not many people have weight, to be honest with you. You know, so you and I talking, we're one of the 1%ers, I believe, as far as a total of 7.6 billion people that actually have physical weight. So even having just one coin puts you in the minority big time. So you're going to have options, you know, if that will present themselves down the line to be able to put that weight back to work. So I think it can save lives and help you continue your own legacy for your children and their children, hopefully.
Yeah. So that's so my point on that is that I understand, because I was taught that by granddad and my dad. You know, I was taught, hey, you need to have this, because this is generational wealth that's going to help you one day. You know, but in retrospect, I look at it and go, well, it didn't help you. But it was there. Yeah. But I mean, we look at right now as like a doomsday scenario. Yeah. But if you go back to the Great Depression in the 30s, and you go back to that, now that was a doomsday. Yeah. Those people were giving their kids away. Yeah. You know, I ain't seen anybody in this whole situation have to give their kids away yet. I haven't seen anybody out there eating grass sandwiches. Like my grandfather told me that, you know, he had to eat grass sandwiches sometimes, and crap like that, you know, and so I look at our world here, and I go, look, it's not as bad. See, back then economists even go back and go, man, they should have printed some money back then. That's what they should have printed themselves back into health. They could have, because the problem was a little different back then. You could have probably fix that situation by printing. Now I think that it's all been overprinted, and now this is not the way we're going to fix this situation. But we aren't in that dire of straits. Now I lost my job during this whole, you know, the vid thing, and we were hurting, but you know, I was never in a big threat of, you know, having to say, hey, my kids have to go away. And I'm only going to be able to take care of myself, and me and my wife have to split up, because I got to go out and try and make my way, and hopefully somebody can take care of my kids. And hey, honey, you know, good luck to you. You know, that's what people were doing back then. And I don't see that right now.
And you know, not to be doom and gloom, but yet I think we're just in the beginning. Because I mentioned on my show saying that, you know, if they meaning the orchestrators of this current events we're experiencing now, if they have their way, they've already told us it's going to be a 10-year event, and that's our Agenda 2030, depopulation, all that good stuff like that. Make sure everybody got so everybody got that, you know, that shot in the arm, and your papers to verify that. And so if they succeed with that, I can imagine, you know, and especially in the, you know, second, third world countries, you know, there might be situations where people feel like they have to, you know, lessen their load as far as getting rid of family, kids, and doing things that they would have never imagined, all because of this reset and them using health as a way of covering it up. But then also I want to mention on something about your grandfather. You said how, you know, you had all that weight, but it didn't help you. But think about it. Also, ultimately, it's an insurance policy. And so, you know, I look at metals as an insurance policy, to where if you don't take out your claim, if you don't file a claim, you were blessed. So even though you mentioned he ate grass sandwiches, I assume that he didn't find it necessary. It wasn't probably something that he felt that he absolutely had to do, because they were able to make a way by putting something in their bellies to where he had never had to file a claim. Or I'm assuming probably after all that is when he realized the need to have all that weight, and that's where he started accumulating it. But I personally hope to never have to cash in on my insurance policy in that magnitude, because I'm going to try to spend these dollars or digital, whatever they give us, as long as I can. But if I need to, I'm going to file a claim, and I'm going to put that weight back in circulation to make sure I sustain myself, you know, so that I don't have to do those drastic things as far as giving away, you know, or even talking about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But I hope we don't have to file no insurance claim as far as our weight's concerned.
So what's your take on, you just said digital, what's your take on the silver and gold and the digital paper part of it now that the assets are going digital?
Yeah. So okay, man. And so I'm gonna walk straight down the middle. I'm not gonna pick a side. I'm gonna be, and so I'm gonna pull out the skeptic in me. So I started, I think like last year or two, I started some videos called, Bitcoin Skeptic. And so I've always, just looking at history, just following the trends. I have some visual aids. I wish I could put them up to show you that pinpoints my point here. But we went from metal solely 100% back, coins in your pocket, gold, silver, whatever. They demonetized that, gave us paper backed by gold. And of course, after that, they demonetized that. Then they gave us all paper, took silver out the coinage and whatever. Then comes the computer systems. And then they start using the fractional reserve banking system to basically, there's more digital dollars than there are paper dollars. Yeah. And so now, I think we're definitely close to maybe 0.1% of the Federal Reserve units of actual paper to digital. So, and with the CBDC talk in the works now, that's going to basically remove that remaining 0.1 or 1% of paper out of circulation eventually. And they're using the disguise of people don't use cash anymore, which of course they don't, because this younger generation now, all they know is Venmos, PayPal, Cash App. So it's evolution. So it's natural. But I think it's all a part of their original plan, which is to remove physical property from us, because as much as I don't like the Federal Reserve note, it still spins, and it's something that's in my hand, it's fungible, that still has a sense of anonymity to it. Correct. So whenever I get excited, I start speaking too fast. But
that word never easy to say, man.
Especially when you're talking about to 100 miles an hour. But no privacy. So I'll put it like that. So so this piece of paper here still offers some privacy, and it's been on my desk forever. But as an example here. But this is physically, it's not mine, but I use it as mine. Once we go digital, a QR code, I'm not excited to only have a QR code based system that everybody and mama can see, and they'll be able to turn me on and cut me off if I say something. You know what I'm saying? So you see where I'm going with this. So it doesn't excite me, because as much as I don't like this is our last line of defense towards having something we can hold and feel. So once we let it go, man, you know what I'm saying? We're hook, line, and sink. We're in their world solely, I believe.
Yeah, and you said two things I want to talk about. So you said digital. So the kids, the young folks. Look, I was a grown man working, had a career in kids before cell phones ever even came out. So my life, I know what the life was like before these things. Now my life is filled with it. I look at the damn thing constantly. I'm always looking at stuff. I got my Twitter. I got all my friends are on it, and half of them I've never met or shook their hands, but they're here, man. And I got them because of this thing. Yeah. And the new generation, like my kids, this is what they know. So a digital dollar don't mean damn nothing thing to them. Right. It's part of life. A dollar bill, shit. My kids hardly ever even seen a dollar bill.
Right, same here, man.
That's all I ever got when I was a kid. It was like, man, I gotta go mow a lawn, or I gotta wash a car, or I gotta do something, and deliver a newspaper. Which, they used to deliver newspapers, guys, and we used to have newspapers, and they put the greenback in my hand. Yeah. And I remember when I used to get paid for my newspaper job, they'd come by the house, and the guy that dropped the papers off, he counted my dollars in my hand, but these kids are used to this stuff now, and this is how it is. This is it's about this digital thing. But what you said, and I want to talk about this, is you said they. And they is always when I hear people say they, I want to know what people's idea of they is, because when I talk to the theys out there, I talk to all kinds of different people. Yeah. All different walks of life. I have friends that are billionaires. I have friends that are dirt poor that live in trailers. I have friends that, are out there making a buck. I have, CEO friends. I have a lot of different people out there that I've met in life. And when I talk to them and I get to know them, whether they're a red person or a blue pill person or whatever, they all have the same things in common, man. We all love our kids. Yeah. We all want something better. We all want to keep things going. We all want just a little more in life. We want a little vacation. We want to have, a family. We want to be with the person that we love. We want our family to be healthy. Right. We all want basically the same things. Now, who is they that's trying to fuck all that up for us?
Okay, so I can throw out all types of names, but I mean, a lot of people who are not familiar with history and monetary literacy to know about the, say, for example, if you just Google the word money trust, that'll take you back to the beginning of the whole central banking system, yada, yada, yada. You get a whole history as to who that incorporates. Yeah. Then if you go back further, you go back to the robber barons. And so the barons was during the industrial, introduction of the, so that's a whole nother line of families. But if you don't mind, let me share something on the screen real quick. I'll show you a picture of, let me see. I'll show you a picture of what I mean by they. And these are just some people that, take it for what it's worth. But this is, once again, some things that are considered historical in nature. So this is a picture I just have on my desktop because one of my viewers brought it to my attention. But if you look in here closely, you'll see some names and some families that the children, the grandkids of these individuals here are still keeping the bloodlines going. And these are the people who have that long generational money, gold, silver, land. They own countries, they own banks, they own politicians. So the names on here, you would do your own research on that. But these families are still in existence. The Rockefellers, DuPonts, and the Warburgs, the Rothschilds. So if you trace all that back, they are the wealthiest individual families on this earth, amongst them a lot more that's not on here. These are the people who still have a big say as to what's going on. And so we're being told that Jeff Bezos is the richest man on the planet. Okay. They're pricing that in Federal Reserve
money too, by the way.
Okay, that too, and they're pricing it in Federal Reserve notes. But yet you got to think about who's the owners of the Federal Reserve system as far as being the top shareholders, which are the too big to fail banks. So you got to go back to the majority shareholders of all the seven globally systemic important banks we have in this country, and then you'll start to figure out who actually calls the shots at the top. So that's the they I'm referring to.
Now, what's their motivation for this? Other than, so they have this silent power anyway, right?
Yeah.
So they got this incognito silent power. And I'd like to add the Hearst family to that list too. I mean, they're another one of them.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more families on there that I probably didn't mention. But that's just a picture
there's
I had.
A whole bunch of them. So I mean, what do you think is their motivation? They got enough money to sustain themselves and generation after generation after generation of being comfortable, of doing what they want, which is the same things that we want. I understand people's need for power, for some type of power. Are people, you think, that so power hungry that they want to see the world be controlled by them, the world move to their every breath and what their dollar does? What's the motivation? I want to hear what you feel the motivation is.
But can I be real with you? Because I might go out there. I don't know if you want to go out there.
No. Go ahead, man.
Okay.
You should hear some of the shit we talk about on this show.
I like real talk. And so, to me personally, and like, so you mentioned a comment earlier about your desire to separate politics from religion and money. And to me, I can't separate them, just because I would always try to interlink them together through different scenario stories, people, history books, whatever. And me personally, I like to let it be known that I'm a believer in Christ. So the Bible is a great historical reference, not only just from a spiritual standpoint, but just a good way of getting a chance to see our history that it hasn't been completely disputed because it's been around for so long. So I use that as a history book. Okay. And so if you just from a at the end of the day, their goal is to be God, and so they can't actually be capital God. They can be.
Do you think it's a Judeo-Christian thing then?
I would say it's the kingdom of darkness versus the kingdom of God warfare. So everything to me is spiritual in nature anyway. Underneath our five senses, everything else is spiritual in essence anyway. And so I ultimately think the principalities and powers of this world, which are under the influence of a demonic force, the Bible calls him Lucifer, however you want to go with it. He's the orchestrator of all these events because of his hate for mankind. And so just think about all the evil in the world. Like, you have a lot of individuals that are claiming to do things to benefit humanity. And I'm going to be frank with you, Mr. Gates. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's claiming to be a philanthropist that's trying to heal the world in poverty, but he's giving these kids in Africa these things that's killing them. Like, so it's only a person that's have been overcome by evil, in my personal opinion, could do something like that and think it's helpful. So the depopulation agenda, like, when is taking life, a good thing? So at the end of the day, I think this is spiritual warfare that's biblically mentioned in Revelations, depending on if you believe it or not, gives a good depiction as to how all this will end in the future. So it's pure evil and just greed, man. It's just, Satan at his best, put it like that, but he's going to lose. He's already lost. Anyway, I digress. I don't want to take it there.
No, that's okay. No, I like hearing where people come from because to me, that means absolutely nothing. That the book means nothing to me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I just mean that it's not part of my worldview and my life. And so I often hear and think that myself, is that there is a Judeo-Christian reason behind a lot of the power grab, and whether it's they think something is evil or they are evil or whatever. I do believe that I believe that what you're saying is probably part of the underpinning of what is going on out there with these powers, the theys.
Now watch this. I bet we can both agree on one thing: there is good and there is evil.
Yes.
And so I just look around us now, based upon the circumstances we're currently in now. There's more evil that's presenting itself than there is good on the surface right now. I would say, from a global standpoint. And
when I think about so I know like the Judeo-Christian view of things is about evil is like it's this power, and it's this power, but see, it's still human will that is creating that incident, that act.
Yeah.
And they've made that choice, so to try and blame it on some fiery little furry creature or something, it's like, no, you're responsible for that evil deed, whether it was hurting a child or robbing people or taking the wealth of a nation and holding people down, or the evil was done. What made that human being do that evil deed or make those decisions? And I know, I've seen it in my family where my father was, I was born to a 15-year-old mother, and my father was in prison. And I know what made him do that. I know what it was, his upbringing. It was how he felt about himself and how society had treated him. And he made a decision to be an evil person and rob and steal and do the things that he did to get himself put in life in prison. So on the other hand, you can have another child, my father's sibling, and they looked at life differently. And even though they were born in the same and raised in the same situation, they decided to do things differently. Correct. And they didn't end up in life in prison. So people have choices to make based upon how they feel about the situations dealt to them. And some people in pain 100%. Go out and create more pain, and some people in pain go, I'm not ever going to allow another person to feel that pain. And they all go out and act accordingly. So I understand, we can both agree that yes, there is this force, but people have free will to go out and do it.
And that's the beauty about the concept of free will. Like, we all can choose. We all can choose to we can go left or go right. No matter what, it's going to all end at a certain destination point at the end. That we'll all find out the truth, according to whatever the truth is. But yet, I think just demonic influence is something real. Like, if you get enough, and that's the thing. If there's a spiritual presence that's all around us that we can't see, then obviously, if there's a good and a bad, then there's also the pressures of a not so good spirit that's trying to coerce people to try to do things, in conjunction with what would be considered evil. So I think I
think that just to be honest, I think that takes accountability away from people. Like, the devil made me do it.
But you still have to, what I'm saying, like with a gun, you still got to pull a trigger. But yet think about how mentally distorted someone can be. based upon demonic influences that could possibly continue to just harp away at you to where you can go psychotic. I mean, so yeah, we're way out, but but see, that's how wild I can go sometimes, man. I try my best to connect the dots to make sense of all this, man, as best I can. So
no, that's good stuff, man. I tiptoe into it and then I tiptoe back out because I know it always turns into like, because everybody has different opinions on all of these things, and one person reads a book and one person doesn't, and it's like, oh, book means the world to this person and a book don't mean jack crap to another person, and but somewhere in the middle we meet. Yeah, because you and we both want the same things for this world. Exactly. We want good in this world, and we want to be free to go out and live our lives the way we want to live our lives, Right. And we don't want to see other people get, a foot on their neck either. Correct. And that's why we do what we do, because we come out here and we're trying to speak truth to everybody and trying to put things out in front of them that can help them, navigate this storm that we're seeing. I mean, no matter where we think this storm has come from, we can all have our different views on it. It's a fucking storm. Right. And we're in the middle of it.
Yeah. And that's one thing we can't deny, that we are in a storm. And so it's one of the things where how we got here, who got us here, whatever, and how to get out of it can be all done differently, because it's everybody's journey and pathway in the storm will be different as well. So, but I think it's more so boils down to education. You do a good job of trying to educate as many people as you can. So do I, because a lot of people are still asleep at the wheel. And so I take it as it's my responsibility, because I have a passion about talking about this stuff. Whether I'm right or wrong, it's all just an opinion anyway. But yet I feel like I at least owe it to the next man to try to help wake him up, to encourage him to get his weight up, as well as just think beyond, think outside the box. You know what I'm saying? It's question everything, believe no one. You know what I'm saying?
And that's and what you're doing is you're helping people to hedge. And that's all we really can do in this situation. I mean, there's no magic pill as to where this is gonna end up. We know we're in a storm, like you said. Yeah. So it's like, how do you hedge in this thing and move forward through it and navigate it? And that's what we're trying to do. And that, which brings me to a great point, is it's a good segue to talk to you about hex and what kind of a hedge that is, like silver. Like silver is a hedge. It's you're saying, hey, I'm not saying that silver is gonna be the thing or gold is going to be the thing, but it would sure be nice to have some insurance, right? and I'm with you, man, because I have insurance in life. I got a pension, I got my 401ks, I got my properties here, and I even have collectibles, things that I collect, and cars and guns and the coins that I have and the gold, the metal I have. So I've hedged myself in life over the years because I know that's what you need to do. And crypto for me, first of all, it is a very dangerous asset. And I always preface everything I always say on this channel is, look, man, crypto is one of those things where if you're hedging your whole future on it, you're doing a dangerous thing, because we see 80 and 90% swings on this thing on the regular. And if you're a guy my age and you're banking on, crypto being your savior financially, then you're doing a very dangerous thing, because this thing swings like nothing. Now, having a little 10% hedge on your value, hey man, this thing could go crazy and do wonderful things for you, because I've seen it. I've seen people go get stupid rich, and so that's what I always preface crypto with. And then I try and talk to people about what hedging with hex means and could mean into their life, even with just a little 10% of your value being put into, crypto. And I don't have anything ill to say of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin isn't the value of crypto. And let me say it again, Bitcoin isn't the value of crypto. It is right now. It's all the buzz. It's at 51K. Holy shit. Did I really just say that 52. When Bitcoin's at 52K? Did I really just say that? Did RG3 really just say that? Yes, I did. And here's why. Because this is all faux. It's faux right now. This is just it's value that doesn't understand cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin that's coming in. It's financial energy that's coming in because it wants to come in, because it wants to do what it's doing. It's speculating and it's creating its own buzz. There's very big money coming in, and they are counting on Bitcoin going up. And they are counting on shaking some people out so that they can take profits. This is a money grab. They're coming in here for a money grab. They did it before. They're not coming in here to store value, because if they were coming in here to store value, they would have done their homework. Because I don't know if you know, Mike, but Bitcoin is on a very shitty platform when it comes to its programming. It's on what's called spaghetti code. Now, I can't tell you the details and intricacies of what spaghetti code is, but here's what I do know is that it sucks. And it's very difficult to play with. And that Bitcoin's been out there for over 10 years and nobody wants to reprogram it, and nobody wants to even look at the son of a bitch because it's too difficult. On top of that, they've already found a couple of bugs that allow you to print as much Bitcoin as you want. And did you know that?
I did not know that. So watch this. So with that information there, I would love to, get Michael Saylor's, comments on that, because he's, computer rocket scientist expert. He looked like he's done a great job. He's putting his reputation and his company on the line because of Bitcoin. So, I'm curious. I'm learning. So,
ladies and gentlemen, Michael Saylor is in the green room right now, going to come up and talk to us. And I would like to question him about that too. I'd like to say, Michael, do you know how Bitcoin is built? Do you know anything about cryptocurrencies and programming and what that means? Do you know anything about the inflation bugs where people were able to mint as many coins as they want, and Bitcoin had to roll the chain back because the spaghetti code is so ridiculously difficult to figure anything out in that nobody wants to touch it. Nobody wants to audit it. Nobody wants to get behind it and actually be responsible for doing that. And they haven't done it yet. Nobody's come in and tried to fix Bitcoin or audit Bitcoin. Why? Because it's a mess. It really is a mess.
Now, how about because of especially the hashing? I think 65% of the hash rate power comes from China itself, and so how much does that have anything to do with it? The fact that they can never probably conform consensus to actually be able to sit down at a table to talk about how to address some of those issues. Would you think?
Well, they tried to build the Knights of the Round Table, Bitcoin Round Table, and it failed miserably. And every time they've tried, I just heard something, and every few months somebody will come up with something that they want to do to fix it or whatever, and it never comes to fruition. It's been years and years and years. Now, let's take a step back, Mike. This cryptocurrency is technology, right?
Yeah.
This is programmable currency. This is the programmable financial world here at its finest, cryptocurrencies. There's all these coins out there that do all these wonderful, miraculous, beautiful things, or at least they're promising that they're going to. And we're still looking at the number one thing that came out in a technology field as being king. Now, sit back for a minute and think of how ridiculous that is. If we were sitting here today and you and me, and I said, look, man, I'm an 8-track tape maximalist. You can take your MP3 shit and shove it up your ass, because I'm an 8-track tape maximalist, because this is the value of music right here, is on this 8-track. Now it's nostalgic. It was the first. It was what brought people to music portably, but it's not the best. It's not the technology of today. And cryptocurrency needs to move forward, and you need to have new technologies. You have to have finances being replaced. Bitcoin doesn't replace any finances. Right. It may be digital gold. That's about the closest thing that it is that hedge, like you said, that store of value digitally. But there are better things coming out in the space, like Hex. Now, let me tell you what Hex does to change the space. All right. So Hex is built on the Ethereum network, which is an ERC20 token. Don't want to get too technical, but what that means is it's built on a platform that actually runs on Ethereum. So what powers the network is people who mine Ethereum, right? Right. So now you can build smart contracts.
Now watch this. Sorry to cut you off. So like right now with the amount of extravagant fees for the Ethereum network, is Hex having issues with doing their typical transactions because of the gas?
No.
Okay.
Yes and no. Okay. Yes, the fees are high. No, it doesn't matter to Hex, and I'll explain why. Okay. So Hex gets to become its contract or programmable money because it runs on the Ethereum network, which the programming is called Solidity. It's very hard. It's not spaghetti code. It's compartmentalized, so it's very secure. If you do it right. If you do it wrong, you're in big trouble. But if you do it right, it's good. So when Hex was built, Richard Hart, the man who had it built, worked with a team to build it. They audited it 3 times to make sure that it was right. And he spent 2 years trying to put it out. So we followed the project from the beginning and watched it come out and watched what Richard said, no, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. Still got programming. We got to make sure this thing is right before we launch it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. When it comes out, it's going to be finished. There's going to be no promises. It's going to be done. It's going to be just like Bitcoin. See, Bitcoin was launched. It was done. There really is no other programming to do on Bitcoin. It's done.
Yeah.
So that's how Hex was going to be launched. But what Hex does is it operates just like Bitcoin. So now that you don't have to mine that Ethereum, you pay the fees based on it being on the Ethereum network to move it around and do calculations and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because of that, you don't have to mine Hex. You stake Hex, and I'll show you what the value of that is and how it shows that it is like Bitcoin and actually better than Bitcoin. And people go, oh, it's blasphemy, right? Well, first of all, it's more secure than Bitcoin because it hasn't had any bugs. It's been running for over a year. No bugs, no problems with the programming. It was already audited 3 times, and they say it's good to go. And it has been. It's never been shut off. It's never been rolled back. No problems on it. So it's solid. It's built solid. It's more secure than Bitcoin. You've got a better security protocol on Hex than you do on Bitcoin, and you could spend it faster than Bitcoin. The Ethereum network, even though it is expensive right now, it moves a lot easier on the Ethereum network than Bitcoin moves around.
Yeah,
it doesn't take forever.
Let me ask you a question. Now, so just with the introduction of Hex, so it's built on Ethereum, and so I like to be a skeptic, walk down the line. And so why not? So why not just hold Ethereum and let it, the developers of Ethereum do what they do, because they're staking now, ETH 2.0 coming, and so just get you a couple ETH, sit on it, and just leave it alone. Like, see, okay, go ahead.
This is the beautiful part now. Now I get to tell you. I just basically told you it was a cryptocurrency just like Bitcoin, but better. Okay. Now here's the magic of Hex. Okay. Right? This is the magic, and this is what you're gonna like because you're Mr. Hedge. You're Mr. Insurance, right? So now you own your Hex. You get your Hex, you get your Ethereum, you trade it for Hex. Now, what do you do with it? Well, you can hold it and use it just like Bitcoin, right? Just like Bitcoin, it goes up and down in value. It has its 80, 90% fluctuations. It's the same like every other crypto out there that is a crypto. You can do the same things with it. But here's the magic of Hex. Hex is what's called a staking coin, or it is the CD, the first CD of crypto, certificate of deposit, which is like the second or third most popular product in a bank, right? So if cryptocurrencies are going to take over, it's got to take the place of banking products, right? Yeah. And that's what we need. And nobody's come out with a CD yet. One of the most popular products in the bank is a CD, a certificate of deposit. So how does Hex operate like that? Well, you can stake your Hex, meaning you operate the contract. You don't give your coins and your keys to anybody. You go in and operate the contract that's done and sitting there, right? Audited contract. And what that contract allows you to do is to stake that coin, to stake your Hex for a day or 15 years. You got all the way up to 15 years, just like a CD. You can ladder them. You could put one every month for the next 15 years, or you can, put one every 3 months for the next 15 years, or one every year for the next 15 years, or the next 5 years, or whatever it is, and then roll them back over. They call those CD ladders in the financial world. You have constant income coming in, But the beautiful thing about Hex is that it makes interest based on the amount of people staked in the pool, right? So the staker class, the stakers, they put their Hex in, and what you're given is shares. So they burn your coins and you're given shares. There's a share price today. Every day there's a share price for Hex that is moving. It's going up. It constantly goes up. The share price won't go down. It's based on, the share price is set by the person that unstakes. So when somebody unstakes their coins, the contract says, hey, I will let you restake those coins, But in order to get your shares back, the ones that you just unstaked, you're going to have to either stake longer or stake more. So it runs the algorithm and says, no, you just raised the share price by jumping in back in. So that way, somebody who's staking every year or every month isn't going to get a better rate than the guy who staked 15 years. So it's kind of a reverse compounding of the interest. So what happens is that share price just continues to go up and up and up and up and up. So as newer people come in, they'll never outpace the people that get in earlier. People next year will never outpace the people that are in now on the same amount of stake, the same length of stake. So it's always going up. Your value of your shares are always going up. So what happens is Hex inflates at 3.69%. That means that the inflation of the coin, the actual minting of the coin, is going to the stakers at 3.69%, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So as it comes out, and it's also based on how many people are staked. So you're not going to get 3.69. That's the minimum that you'll get.
Yeah.
But all the coins that are being minted are going to the staker class. So they're not going into circulation. So basically your stake is like a little Bitcoin miner that's actually mining Hex. So you're mining Hex as it sits out there in its stake, right? And it's gaining value. It's gaining value. So it's the same as a Bitcoin. It's the same cryptocurrency that you can move around, share, stake, sell, do whatever with, and it's more secure than Bitcoin. But because it's sitting there gaining interest, and you're creating the value in the network by holding it there, you're the one reaping the dividends, reaping the rewards of the minting of the coins, of the inflation. So you're getting the inflation. So when you unstake, you can either sell them, which now the true staker class is seeing the value in it, and they're going, look, I'm going to scrape my interest off, and then I'm going to stick my principal back out there again, because I don't want to turn my miner off. Now I want to take dividends. I want to receive and realize gains. But I don't want to lose my power of my coin. So I'm going to throw it back out there and stake it for even longer and get the same type of a return. So that's what people are doing now. That's what real hexicans are understanding about, because we've been dissecting this thing for the last year and a half, 3 years, So everybody's understanding what the value of this is now. What's amazing is that there's so little supply right now of Hex out there that once somebody sees the value of it, we're getting like 30% APY right now, 40% APY and higher.
Really?
That's what we're getting on our Hex right now. That's the returns we're getting. We're not getting, 15, 20%, which is a great rate. We're getting 30, 40% rates right now, APY. And that's what we've been seeing the whole time we've been staked. And that's been over a year, all of us. And
so I've been missing out on some. Okay.
So that's that's the beauty of Hex is the fact that it is the first crypto CD. It's the first finished product that I've ever seen, because nobody operates the contract but you. It has nothing to do with, you give your keys to some exchange and they're going to stake your coins for you and pay you a dividend. None of that bullshit. No, you mint your rewards by pulling your stake out when you're supposed to. Now, here's another pretty thing, right? So when somebody pulls out early, now you have complete control of your stake. You can pull it out if you want. It's not locked there forever. But because you locked it, you made a promise to yourself. And if you unstake it, you're going to get penalized harshly. And that penalty, guess where it goes?
Back to the community. Back
to the staker class. So the staker class is the Fed and the banks. And so you're the whole thing. You're the bank and the Fed, and you're paying yourself, you're minting your own coins and you're paying yourself dividends. And then, you're actually producing the inflation of the coin by staking. So that's Hex in a nutshell, man.
Okay, that's more information that I was aware of, which I like the way that sounds, man. So it gives me something to dig into myself. man, and it's immutable. The contract is done, man.
There's nothing anybody can say. They fudded the heck out of it from the beginning. I mean, everybody from Tone Bays to Antonopoulos, everybody, Richard's a scammer. These guys are crazy. They're all a bunch of cultists. And we're like, no, you guys don't understand. This is what crypto was supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be you guys shilling margin trading and shilling, counterparties in the exchanges, for your money, and turning this into a big speculative circus with all of your ups and downs and scams and everything else. No, it was supposed to be an immutable contract that you operated that was going to pay you dividends and replace something from the banks. And that's what Hex is finally. So that's why we all got excited about it, because the light bulb went off and we all understood what it was. And so we started creating these streams and talking to people and going, do you understand what this is? Do you know what you've landed on? Do you know what you've come across? And a lot of people have said, no, Richard's a scammer. Why? Because nobody wants this thing to come out and kill crypto. It's killing crypto. We are going to kill the market cap. We're already sitting at like number 15, 16 coin. And the market cap is going to get, Hex is going to turn the market cap into what it is, which is a vanity metric. It really is a vanity metric. It has nothing to do with, the real value of that crypto itself. Yeah. It's a vanity metric that proves really nothing. And Hex is designed by design to just destroy market cap. I mean, it's already, like I said, we went up to number 5 at one point silently. Nobody even knew we were there. And we were number 5. So you expect Hex to crack into like top 3 in the next year, I would imagine.
Really? Okay. I like that, man. Now, so let me throw a little skepticism towards your way.
Have at it.
Now, and so the project is dependent upon Ethereum, and so if there's ever any
no.
Okay. So can it survive without Ethereum?
It can be forklifted off of Ethereum and put onto another platform if necessary.
Okay.
It doesn't have to exist. It's using Ethereum now because Ethereum is the best. Yeah. Even though we have these fee issues, Ethereum still is the best platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
And probably the next moon coin, the next coin that's going to take another big jump. And then once they do fix their scaling issues here, then it'll everybody will be like, oh, they'll be off of Ethereum's back, and as soon as that's gone. But yes, to answer your question, you can take Hex off of this platform and move it to another if Ethereum totally died.
Was there ever any talk when it was created to form its own chain and do its own thing, regardless of having to be subject to any other blockchain to operate on top of?
No, not necessary. Too much working parts to have it build its own and be what it is. I mean, it works so much better just sitting. It's a proof of stake coin. It's not a proof of work coin. Yeah. So it doesn't want to be that. It exists as a proof of stake coin. So it needs a host, basically.
Understandable. Cool, man. I would definitely check it out, man. So I appreciate the opportunity to hear about it and learn more in depth about it, because I never got that full background before. So definitely, man. I'm gonna dive into it.
I was glad to be able to talk to you and bring you on, and I don't want our streams, man. They go 2, 3, 4 hours, and I don't want to keep you any longer because an hour is like regular for most people. But we learned a way of streaming that we just stream for hours and hours and hours, and it's exhausting, man. It is.
And one of the things is I used to do the communities live streams where I invite different people in the community to join me face to face. We go 2 hours, and then I started doing my little 1 hour rants, and then I just figured I spent so much time ranting, man. I'm like, I gotta cut it down. So now I try to keep it like 30 minutes, give or take, just because if not, man, I can go far left field and never come back.
Maybe I'll get there one day to get me down to 30 minutes, but right now it's about an hour. So right on, man. Mike. Well, hey, I appreciate you, man. And anytime you want to come hang out on Friday nights, we have what's called the FN Hangout, Friday night hangout.
Okay.
And everybody just jumps on stream and just has at it and talks and does things. And man.
Okay, good deal, man. And so definitely I'm going to dive deeper into the Hex, man, and see what's going on. And so definitely, because because most of the channel is all precious metals, and a lot of people be like, no, stay away from crypto, Mike. So I don't bombard them with just different people from different projects, but I'll have Crypto Blood on, and I'll have Richard. I had what's his name? I'm drawing a blank now, but it come to me, man.
Yeah, we had Crypto Blood.
Chris Rice. on the show. So anyway, so point in case is, for the heck's sake, I would definitely, I would love to educate some people on that as well. So I'm gonna definitely, when I have my next crypto talk, you on my list. So I'll definitely, if you're available, I'll have you on, man. So
all right, no, I appreciate it, Mike. Good talking to you, man. Thanks
Same
for
here,
coming
man.
on, and we'll catch you on the next one, bud.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks, Captain Hank. Have a good night.
See you. All right, guys. Another fine interview with one of Crypto King's fellas. We will catch you guys all on Friday for the Friday night hangout. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you. Bye-bye.